came to speak on war and peace, peace and war, and the design of it, the circles that get created right under us and related to kind of a personal experience and a personal observation of my own family and how we've experienced what's going on in our immediate surroundings and how it's been carried on throughout our lives, as we all have this war and peace mentality inside of us, and forget that there is a peace and an art of peace. See, we only hear of the art of war, and because it's a celebration of the fear and the separation and the defense mechanisms of a mentality that is designed to control and to keep people in a state of response, reaction to something, as if something's happening to you. So underneath all of that is the guilt programming from the religious guilt that gets put under there of more separation, more lack of depth in understanding our connections to each other, and the systems, the chess games that get played just underneath the surface of our understandings in our day-to-days. So the understanding of war and the art of peace go hand in hand, but we don't hear about this stuff. It's like my personal journey started straight out of high school. So we're already underneath the military-industrial complex mind when we're in school. So it's all about discipline. It's all about control. It's all about taking the inner child and turning it into an inner soldier. A subtle inner soldier. So like for me, I'm an 80s baby, so I grew up waking up in the morning to hearing DuckTales, G.I. Joe, He-Man, all these commercials that are all about war. They're all about like either getting gold or fighting or defending or something that is vaguely reminiscent of what's going on the larger scales. And that program continues to go on. It gets stronger and stronger as we get older. So like I was talking to my cousin the other day about like one of the biggest recruiting ads for me and why I went into the military is because of G.I. Joe. Like G.I. Joe starts planting those seeds, you know, as soon as you wake up in the morning. I remember hearing G.I. Joe like as you get ready for school, even if it's in the background. But that's how deep these programs go. And so going into the military, so you go through school and you get these like little boxes of what you want to do when you grow up, and then you realize that none of those boxes have any real depth to them or any kind of anything that allows you to fly further or whatever, go farther into your own flight pattern, whatever that might be. So the military is one of the most unknown, but being able to achieve some things that a child mind would have when they graduate from high school or when they're going into um, the world of the adult world. So when we enter in that world, like, we're immediately installed into the lies of politician, the lies of war, and the art of war. So you go from the peaceful state of a of an interactive child up until 18, and then having that whole time your inner child is being knocked down. The art, the music, the culture, the color is being removed from your system by the education system, by the television, by artificial music, by the box mentality. And then when you graduate, you have a box now, and then you got to fill that box with stuff. And that stuff has some kind of weight to it, and some kind of space. So it weighs this much depending on how much war or peace or the balance of it that it has in it. And then ultimately it's all experience for our own weight that we have during this whole experience. But there's the peaceful side of yourself and the war side understanding of yourself. And we can all see which one is amplified more often than not, because the controllers that be operate on a fear system, on a fear program that maintains the depression mode. That's why cigarettes are so celebrated. That's why a downer, the alcohol, is legal, and a consciousness expanding medicinal plant like cannabis is illegal. So like something like that, just the fact that that exists is a program in itself. It's a separation of itself. Like, people have to design sort of rationales in their mind, not only for themselves but to share with their children. And their children might know something different or definitely feel something different, and then have to respond. And that right there creates a gap. So the military industrial complex doesn't just go from, it just doesn't exist in the politics games or in the wartime games. It exists inside of our homes, inside of our minds. And the art and the culture, the music, everything that is human to us, it kind of goes against what the mainstream complex is. So that's why it's being removed from the school systems. So by me diving into the military, I got to experience how the military industrial complex works personally in the mind. So first day you get in there, once everything gets going, because you got to go through the paperwork and all that other stuff, which is another thing. You're just signing your life away, one document at a time. And then once you get, once you sign everything away on those pieces of paper that are supposed to represent who you are or what you are, once you swear in and you say their little ritual to serve and protect the U.S. Constitution and the fort, like all this stuff, it's just basically signing your life away to the forefathers and forgetting your ancestors. Just like the mainstream complex right now is, and history today starts with whatever the current politician says it is. So like Obama speaking on Syria and Putin speaking on Syria, they're only going to start from a certain layer of like where this all started. So like Obama's going to start with talking about, and all these so-called leaders are chess pieces on the board, and they say certain things at certain times to create a certain mentality, to maintain a certain level of control and fear, that goes with whatever their next program, whatever their next plan is, in movement of people, of armies, of refugees, whatever it is, it's based in the divide and conquer, the divide and conquer mentality. So, like, one of the main things that's going on today and can be seen with a limited amount of research if you go into it is Syria, and how Syria is a representation of the divide and conquer mentality that's been going on all over the world forever. It's make the people fight themselves, like get separation going, create some kind of strife, create some kind of whatever it is to get people really emotional, separate themselves and fight themselves. And if they can fight and destroy themselves, and you don't have to, as a controller, you won't have to do anything. You just sit back and watch the show and then kind of play with the amplification of here and there. You're kind of coddling the program that you designed. And that's what the whole war situation is about. It's really about sparking, sparking a depth, sparking a fire, and then just maintaining that fire as it goes through and does your work for you. Like the people and the mentalities destroy themselves by only seeing differences and never seeing connections. So that mentality gets like maintained throughout the system of individuals and the collective. And there's nothing to back it up because the heart has been boxed in, the inner child has been beat down and abused, the family structure has been divided and conquered, the psyche has been destroyed by either television or hopelessness from not even having, if you don't have a television, you're just and you're in like a village type setting without any power or anything like that. You're subject to a country that has been subject to the war and divide and conquer mentality, that has ripped resources out, ripped ideas out of not only like a community, but out of entire countries, out of entire continents. So it goes from like the one thing to an entire mass extinction, pretty much. There's people are dying every day. Like the inner cities is a big example of the divide and conquer mentality. I mean, you have people calling themselves different, and then wanting to kill somebody else for that. And those differences, especially the artificial differences, the really artificial differences, based on like colors, based on cars, based on locations, based on things that are just not human in a sense. They're just like stuff. None of the stuff that we fight each other for is with us when we're born. Like all this stuff comes, it becomes part of the system. It becomes learned and downloaded by constructs, by ideas like the military-industrial complex, by hopelessness set out by the prison-industrial complex. All our families are ripped apart. All of our arts are taken out. And then we see the illusions of power when people, send missiles or drones across the waters to go kill brothers and sisters that are here and there, and then convince us that that's the only way to go. That's the basis of a hopeless psyche. And I'll leave it there for now. Um, and then I'm going to go into the next video talking about whatever comes up after this. So until next time, peace, love, and harmony.